Students and anyone else who may be watching from home, my name is Zanzolo, also known as Mr. Borges, and we're back in Scratch again, ready to work on our next project, which is going to be Animate Your Name Challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and read a description of what this is in a moment, but if you don't remember how to get to where I'm at right now, you're going to open up your web browser, you're going to navigate to scratch.mit.edu. You're going to go ahead and log in, and then you're going to go to our studio page. Now, you're not going to be in the 2019-2020 school year. You're going to be in some future school year. That's fine. You're going to have your own separate studio for that I should have already set you up with in a previous video. And then you can go to the comments and then scroll down to get these assignment descriptions. You should also be able to see it in Canvas if we're using Canvas, or in Google Classroom if we're using Google Classroom this year. Okay. So, Animate Your Name Challenge. Your project needs to have the following things: a sprite for each letter of your name. Now I'm going to use Borges, right? B-O-R-G-E-S, that's 6 letters, right? So I want you to do your first name, but you can do a nickname or something else if your name is very long, or actually even if your name is very short. If there's like 2 letters in your name, everybody just calls you CJ all the time. You know, I would rather you maybe use your last name, maybe use another nickname. Shoot for something that's got close to 6 letters. You know, 4 is okay, 8 is okay, but if your name is too short, just do something else. Maybe do a last name that's a little longer. If your name is very long, if it's just too long, like your name's Deuteronomy or something, you can do a nickname. Everybody calls you Dude, that's fine, okay? We're gonna work with that. If you're not sure, raise your hand. I'll come around and help you answer a question like that. Or if we're doing distance learning, you can send me a message if you're not sure, right? The idea is that I want you to do enough letters that you're actually getting some practice doing this stuff and writing some code, but I'm not trying to like make you suffer if you have a really long name or something like that, okay? I'm trying to be reasonable, so make your best judgment, ask questions if you're not sure. So, going on from here, the letters should move and respond to being clicked and the spacebar being pressed. So we're going to talk about both of those things as we go. You're going to have an interesting backdrop. Everybody should know how to do that already from a previous video. And you're going to have a better title than Untitled, because you're always going to have a better title than Untitled. All right? It's always required. Now there's an example that's here, but we're going to be creating our own example right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create. And first thing we'll see here is that our title is horrible. Untitled. Right? So I'm just going to name this one Borges. You can name it Animate Your Name. You can name it your name or your nickname or whatever that is, right? Or give it some other meaningful title. Please don't just call this, I had a kid last year who just called everything Pro. That means something to him, I guess, but he had like 25 projects that were all just called Pro. And it's not smart, you guys. Give your project some meaningful titles so that later on you're going to be able to say, oh yeah, just by reading the title, oh yeah, I know exactly what this is, right? You know, I'm going to give it even a better title than just Borges. I'm going to call it Dancing Borges. All right, you give yourself a meaningful title for your project. Then Scratch Cat's here. We don't want Scratch Cat. We can go ahead and trash can them. And then we're going to do, I'm not going to do all 6 letters of my name, but I'm going to do a few different ways so that you can get some different ideas about how you're going to get your sprites together. So first I'm going to get a backdrop, and I really don't care which I'm using, just whatever. Get yourself your perfect backdrop for your project. Okay, now I'm going to need some letters, so I'm going to start with B. I'm going to start with the sprite chooser right here, and I've got this filter up at the top. So I can look at fantasy sprites, music sprites, sports sprites. One of them is letters, so I click on letters. I get all the letters, and you can see there's some different styles. I'm just going to grab this first letter B up here, stick it close to where I want it. Moving on, I need a letter O, right? So it's going to be another sprite. It's going to have separate instructions. So I'm going to go ahead then. In this case, I think I'm going to draw. So I'm going to paint my own sprite. And now that I'm in the costume tab for this sprite, I can still use text, right? Maybe that color is going to be fine. I'm going to click over here and get myself a letter O. Right, and that's not the size that I wanted, so I can change the size and get it close to what I want. Maybe that's a little big. Maybe you mess with that so you get it close to what you want. Put it where you want it to go. So now I have 2 sprites. I'm going to make another sprite. I'm going to draw this one also. Right, this one I'm going to use the paintbrush. I'm going to grab myself a different color. I think I'm going to make the pen tool a little thicker here and do some experiments. Try it out. Right? Is that about what you want? Yeah, it seems pretty close. Okay. R. Now my R over here is quite a larger than I want it to be. So that's no problem. I can adjust the size right here. Right? So I think 50% might be too small, but let's try that out. So let's go halfway in between. It was 100 before. I'm going to go to 75. It's pretty close to what I'm looking for. You can mess with that all day, though, to dial in so it's perfect for you. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. All right, so we need another sprite for the letter G. This one I'm going to get off of the internet. And so, right, a lot of my students like doing this. So I'm going to do an example of it right now. So I'm going to do a search for the letter G. Right, and I'm going to do it as an image search. So I come up with all these images right here. And I got to tell you, most of these are not what you want. Most of these are going to have a white box that's around the outside. And when you bring it over here, there's going to be a white box around the outside of your letter. And you're not going to like it. You're going to try to mess around with getting rid of the white box. And it's going to drive you crazy. And you don't need to do that. We're going to search for a letter G that has a transparent, that has a see-through background. We can do that under Tools. So if we go to Tools, one of our options here on our image search is Color, and we can choose Transparent. When we do that, we get images that have transparent backgrounds. And so here's a blingy letter G. When we click on it, you're going to see this checkerboard. See the checkerboard that's behind it? Right? It wasn't here. It's not really there. This is how the web browser is drawing this image to let you know that this is the see-through color all around this outside. That's what this checkerboard pattern is supposed to be telling you, that that's the see-through color. So I say, okay, I'm going to right-click on that, and I'm going to save the image as, and I'm going to give this a meaningful name. Now it's already called letter G blah, blah, blah. Just shorten it up to letter G, and go ahead and save that. All right, so now I can go back to my project tab, go back to choosing a sprite, and this time I'm going to pick upload a sprite. And then from here, right, you're going to navigate to your folder where it was at. In this case, it's just still in my downloads folder. So I'm going to go back to downloads, and there it is. And there we go. Now again, right, this letter G is like probably way bigger than I want it to be. So in this case, I'm going to guess that maybe somewhere around 20% is what I'm going for. That was a guess, right? Yeah, I was a little wrong, right? But I think that 40% is going to be too big, you know? So I'm going to try halfway in between those. 30, that's close enough. You can mess around with that all day and get it closer to what you want it to be. Okay, then you're going to get some other letters, and I'm just going to go fast, 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 right? I know I'm going to need an E. There we go. I know I'm going to need an S. So I'm just going to pull these right from the sprite library. There we go. So, right, we've got all of our artwork together, got our background and got our sprites. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write instructions for each one of these. Now they're supposed to move, right? They're supposed to move, and there's different ways that they can move, and that's up to you. And they're supposed to do something when you click on them, and they're supposed to do something else when you push the space bar. So those are the things we need to get together. So when the green flag is clicked, that's an event. When the green flag is clicked, I'm going to have this letter B move. I want to have it move forever. So I'm going to get a forever loop. That's a control block, forever. And what I'm going to have the letter B do is I want it to move. So it's going to be a motion block. And now I can pick the way that I want it to move. Right now you can do this like Epic Dance Party where you have it move and then put a wait block and then move back. That's one option. You can have it just rotate or rotate around forever. I mean, just click the green flag. See something like this, right? It's up to you how you have it move. Go ahead and experiment around with some of this kind of stuff, right? So with my letter O, again, I'm going to have an event block. We're going to do something forever. And then what we can do for this one is we can have it glide to random positions. Okay? And then keep doing that forever. So you can see the letter O is just going to move around all over the place. Now the problem is then is when I click stop, that letter O right? Click play again. The letter O doesn't go back to where it's supposed to go. It's not spelling my name anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and I'm going to initialize, right? I'm going to set some initial conditions. This is something computer programmers do all the time. When the program starts out, how do you want things to be? It's like a reset, right? The programmer is the one who decides how reset works. So I'm going to go to the B here. B is all twisted around and weird, right? When I first start out, when I first click the green flag, I don't want to be turned around all weird. I want to be pointing in a certain direction, and I can specify that, right? I want my letter B to be pointing that way. Test it out, make sure it works the way you want, and then put it together. So then that way, yeah, I can push this green flag, but whenever I start it up again, right, it's spinning a little bit fast. Here, let's spin it slower so that you can actually see what I'm talking about. When I click every time I click the green flag, it's resetting the way that it spins, right? So same for the letter O. The letter O is just doing whatever it wants right now. I'm going to go back to the letter O and write an instruction for it. Put the letter O where we want it to go, like around here. And then our initialization for the letter O is telling it to go to a certain place. So when the green flag is clicked, we want it to go to a certain location. This way, whenever I click the green flag, the letters are, those first two letters, that's all we're doing so far, line up to spell the name the way that it's supposed to. Right? Every time I click the flag, the name is spelled correctly for a moment before the letters go off to wherever else. I would do something similar for R, G, E, and S. I'm not going to have you watch me do that. You get the idea, I think. So other things, right? Each sprite's supposed to do something when it's clicked on. That's another event. We're going to have the letter B. Let's have it stop spinning when we click on it. Okay, so that's an event when the sprite is clicked under the events blocks. When the sprite is clicked, what do we want it to do? I want just this sprite. I don't want all the other letters or anything else to stop, but I want the letter B to stop. And that's a control block called stop. But I don't want to stop all. If I do stop all, then when I click on the letter B, I'll show you. When I click on the letter B will stop, but this letter O will also stop moving. You see? That's not what we want. So we don't want all. We have some choices here. You go inside. I don't want to change this script. Well, this script is just this right here. I want this to stop. So it's not this script either. I want to stop other scripts in this sprite. It's going to make it so this forever loop, if I click it, you'll see this forever loop's glowing. Right? And if I click on the letter B, be watching the glowing over here. When I click on the letter B, the glowing stopped. So this script stopped, but you can see the letter O kept moving. And that's what we're going for, right? In this specific case, we want other scripts in the sprite. Okay, so that's pretty good. And we also need to do something when space is pressed. So what I'm going to do is that's another event. When space bar is pressed, space key is pressed, what do we want to do? And I think that's up to you what you want to do. I think you could change costumes, you could change the background, you could change different things. I think let's change the color of the letters. I'm just for fun, whatever. That's under looks. We're going to change color effect. Just put that up into there. So that now when I push space, right, I'm changing the color effect of the letter B. So when I click start, it rotates around like this. When I click on it, it does something, it stops. When I push space, it does something. And that's the big idea. So you're going to do something similar like that then for the letter O. Right? You're going to need both of those event blocks when the space key is pressed and when the sprite is clicked, and you're going to make it do different things. You could do another stop in here so that this letter also stops when you push, when you click it. So not stop all though, right? Stop other sprites in the script. So now it becomes kind of like a game. You're going to have to try to, oh, I got it. You're going to have to try to click on that moving letter O maybe. And then you can also, let's just for now, keep with the theme of changing colors, although you could have had to done something else too, so that now when I change colors, both those letters change. Okay, so you can do something then also, something like this. So you're going to have something that looks like this for each one of your sprites. So you're going to write something like that for this sprite also, for this sprite, and for this sprite, right? All of your different sprites. And that's the big idea. Okay. When you are finished, right? You're going to make sure you have all those different pieces that we talked about, that you have a sprite for each letter, that the sprites move, that they do something when you click on them, that they do something when you push space, that you have a better title than Untitled, and you have yourself an interesting backdrop for your project. So those are all the pieces that you need. You can refer back to Google Classroom or to Canvas or to the comment in our studio for a list of those things, or just rewind this video if you like. Okay, then what you're going to do, you're going to go to see the project page. You're going to write some instructions here. People are not going to know how this project works if you don't have any instructions. So you're going to tell them, hey, you're going to click the letters, right? So click the letters and push space to do stuff, right? You could include other different things in there, right? Maybe you want to also, you could make the letters get bigger when you push the plus key on the keyboard. You can make the letters disappear, turn invisible when you push I or something. There's a lot of different things you could do. Whatever it is, if you choose to do anything like that, you're going to put them in the instructions, because the user's not going to know how your project works if you don't have any instructions that are in there. Okay, so I do require some instructions. Make sure that you have some. And then you're going to share your project. Until you share your project, nobody else can see your project. I can't even see it. If you don't have a share button that's up there, something went wrong. You need to either raise your hand or send me a message, and I'll help you verify your email in Scratch so that you are able to share projects. Okay, so now you are almost completely done. The last thing to do is, right, to copy the URL here of your project. You're going to copy that. And then that's the thing you're going to actually turn into either Canvas or into Google Classroom as the way that you're going to turn in your assignment, right? I also encourage you to add your project to the Locked Into Middle School studio for whatever year it is that you're watching this video, so that your other classmates can also see your project. All right, so that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you next time. Bye.